welcome to the Verde Valley Experience. I'm your host, Jen Cohen. Thank you so much for joining me for today's show. I am really pleased to be here. Our guests today's episode of Verde Valley Experience are J.D. Maddie from the Astronomers of the Verde Valley, Karen Freeman from Kids Against Hunger, Barbie Hart and Susie Beach of the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Fest, Sheila Stubler, the park manager of Fort Verde Historic Park, and Kelly Moffat. We'll be on location with Don Meakin to talk about the AZ Flywheeler show that's coming up soon, and Bill Bassett of Bill Bassett's Trailblazers will be here with us. So I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show while we introduce you to some of the most passionate, fascinating, and influential people who are bringing their organizations to us that make a difference every day here in the Verde Valley. My first guest today is J.D. How are you doing today?
Hi, great. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, certainly. It's always fun.
That's great. So you are the president of the Astronomers of the Verde Valley.
Correct.
That sounds like a wonderful amateur astronomers club.
Yes.
I know you have a beautiful website.
Oh,
you can go to www.astroverde.org. I was amazed by the amount of photography that's on your website.
Yes, we have quite a few astrophotographers in our group, and they love showing their wares. So
yeah, it's truly beautiful, and the amount of information that you can find, the articles, the links, times for sunrise and sunset, which is very important to a lot of people, and the astronomy pick of the day from NASA. That's very cool to be able to see that, and a list of upcoming events as well.
Yes. Yeah, so I wanted to basically brief you on what's up right now in the skies.
Please do.
If we go out after dark, or about usually within an hour after sunset, if we stand facing south, if you have a fairly clear horizon, but if you look pretty much up over, not quite overhead, but about halfway up the sky, you'll see the constellation of Orion. Now, as we're entering the spring and summer, the wintertime constellations are still visible, and Orion is pretty easily recognizable by the huge size that it is. If we look at it, I think we have some pictures there. We can see the large rectangle of stars, and then everyone's pretty much familiar with Orion's belt, the three stars that cut across the center. And then just below Orion's belt, you can see a small fuzzy spot, not too far away from below Orion's belt, and that's the Orion Nebula, the Great Orion Nebula. Now, even through a pair of binoculars or even the smallest telescope can really show you the great nebulosity that particular object has. It's about 12 to 1,400 light years away from Earth, so it's fairly close, but that's still a long ways. If that nebula were as close as Sirius, which we'll talk about in a second, it would cover the entire sky at night. So that's the massive size that this nebula is.
That's amazing.
And speaking of Sirius, most people have heard of it. You've probably seen the Sirius radio commercials. Sirius is called the dog star. It's in the constellation Canis Major, and it's the brightest star that we can see from Earth. So it's very easily seen off the foot of Orion. And there's also a Canis Minor, but we have to jump up across another constellation in order to view it. But one thing about the winter skies and the summer skies is there's a summer triangle and a winter triangle. And the winter triangle is visible now with Sirius, Betelgeuse, which is the bright orangish yellowish star in Orion, and also the brightest star in the Canis Minor, which is Procyon.
Wow.
So
it's endlessly fascinating.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now, we're still facing south, but if we look directly overhead, we'll see a really, really bright object, and that's the planet Jupiter. It pretty much outshines even Sirius. It's about 400 million miles away right now, and even though it's that far away, which is really close on an astronomical scale, we can still see the cloud bands, which are the major storms that circle Jupiter around the equator, through a small telescope. And then also there are 4 what's called Galilean moons. In 1609, Galileo was the first person to turn a small telescope towards the skies, and when he viewed Jupiter, he saw 4 objects circling Jupiter, which are what's called the Jovian moons or the Galilean moons. And those are fairly easy to pick up in some steady binoculars or a small telescope as well.
Wow. So it would be pretty easy for someone who had some sort of interest in astronomy to view it from their backyard if they just had a decent pair of binoculars.
Yes, exactly. And you really don't need even a telescope or binoculars to enjoy the skies and the Milky Way and such, because there's meteor showers throughout the year that you can see just with the naked eye as well.
That is true. We are truly blessed here in the Verde Valley to have such gorgeous night skies.
Yes.
And you do something called a star party. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, well, a star party is where a group of astronomers get together, and we do some private star parties, but most of them are public star parties. My wife and I are both amateur astronomers, and we also are volunteers for the state parks as well as the National Park Service, and so we travel around the state doing star parties, and we have several coming up here locally as well.
Well, that's great. What does a person have to do to join into a star party?
Basically, find out where they're going to be in the area, and in some cases, some of the parks require reservations, but most of the time it's just show up.
Wow. And they can look on your website.
Correct. Yes. There's updated schedules on our website, and that'll give you information about the star parties as well.
That's great. So www.astroverde.org for a list of events and schedules and pictures. Now, there was something I saw on your website I'm interested in asking about. What is an iridium flare?
Oh, okay. Iridium is a company. Iridium LLC is a company that makes satellite phones. Well, in order for these satellite phones to work, they had to launch a bunch of satellites. Well, these satellites have polar orbits. In other words, they go from the North Pole to the South Pole. Traditionally, satellites go from east to west or west to east, but these actually circle the Earth from north to south or south to north. Well, these particular satellites have fairly large solar panels on them that power them, but as they traverse across the sky at night, the sun will reflect off of those large solar panels and give you a flash in the sky. We saw one, I think it was Tuesday night, that went right through the Little Dipper, and it lasted about probably 45 seconds. Now, some of them can be as brief as 5 or 10 seconds, but some can be as long as 1 minute. But you'll think, a lot of folks think it might be a plane, turning its headlights or making a maneuver, but these are actually satellites that reflect sunlight back, and they're kind of fascinating.
Yes.
No one's ever not been wowed when watching one.
That is true, and the photographs that you've put up on the website of the flares are pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they're kind of neat. They're kind of neat. And anyone can take a picture. They just need a tripod and a camera with a 30-second exposure or bulb exposure, and they're basically ready to photograph those things.
Oh, how fun. I bet the meteor showers make for some incredible photographs.
Yes, they do. They do as well.
Wow. That's really great. I know that you're an avid astrophotographer. What is your favorite thing to photograph?
Wow, I would say probably the nebulas, like Orion's nebulas, but there's hundreds more of smaller nebulas that are just barely visible in a telescope, but when you take a picture of them, the colors really come out and really start showing their size and shape and such.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Thank you so much for being on the show today. You've really piqued my interest in astronomy, and I know I'll be visiting your website for all the photos and the events, and I know lots of people will be attending the star party, so I really appreciate you being here. So don't forget, you can see J.D. Maddie's photography work if you go to the website www.astroverde.org, and we'll be right back to the Verde Valley Experience after this short break.
Listen now, can you hear the bluebirds? Oh, look up now, can you feel the sun? Can you feel the sun?
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem. Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
And welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. I'm here now with Karen Freeman. She is the Director of Kids Against Hunger. Thank you for coming in, Karen.
Welcome.
This is an amazing organization that does an incredible amount of good for the children of not only the Verde Valley and the folks of the Verde Valley, but also children around the world as well. I have that your mission is to significantly reduce the number of hungry children in the U.S. and feed the children throughout the world. I've got that right?
Yeah.
That's an amazing mission. Tell me, how do you go about doing that?
Well, we started by going to Haiti in 2010, right after the earthquake, and after we got there and we just saw the unbelievable poverty that just I've just never seen anything like that. We came back from there and knew that we couldn't do everything. We just couldn't not do nothing. And when we saw that kids were eating dirt cookies, when mothers don't have any food to feed their children, they're scraping up dirt off the ground and actually feeding their kids with this to fill their stomachs. So we came back and hooked up with an organization called Kids Against Hunger, which is a national organization, and we formed our 501c3 in 2011, and which the umbrella organization is Manzanita Outreach, but Kids Against Hunger is a national organization, and we're the first Arizona we're a food packing satellite, basically, is what we do. We're the first one and the only one in Arizona, and we basically organize people to come together and kind of in assembly-like fashion, actually hands-on package food for the hungry. And then we we've been shipping 85% of our food to Haiti because the military is doing it for us. And then we've been keeping 15% back here locally, but we're ready to kind of do a little bit more of a shift to larger local distribution now, and because we know there's hungry people here locally.
Sure, and you're working in partnership with the Yavapai County Food Council for that local distribution.
Yeah, they're a great group, and they've really helped me realize that there's at least over 40 food banks and backpack programs in schools, senior meal programs, and people are hungry here locally. So we're looking at, this is kind of the food product that we pack right here. It's a rice mixture, highly nutritious rice and soy, and just cooks up with water. But we're looking to transition to maybe a mac and cheese and a rice and beans, kind of a different product for local distribution here.
I know the mac and cheese will go over well with the kids.
Yeah, and Yavapai Food Council is helping us distribute it. So they know who needs it the most, and they're going to help get us out. So that's a great partnership for us. Yeah,
that's great. And so far, you guys have packed over 500,000 meals.
500,000 meals, and which is a pretty incredible thing. We're a volunteer organization, and there's not a whole lot of us, and we just kind of get the word out, and We actually, Verde Valley Christian Church donated us a building in last year.
Wonderful.
And so we had our open house in April, and we're still pulling that together, but we'll actually have our own site because we have to have a place to package the food, but to store the bulk food product and then to ship it out of. So that's a cool thing, yeah.
I bet volunteers are really necessary and really in need.
We can't do it without volunteers. We, like I said, we're nonprofits, so we actually ask for donations for people to come for the privilege of packing the food. But the cool thing about it is, you know, you see the pictures of those kids on TV that are starving, and that's just a reality all over the world. But then to ask for money, well, this is kind of like when people give money to do a fun run. You actually pay money for the privilege of running, and you donate the money for a good cause. Well, we don't have any money to buy the food. We have to buy the bulk food and have it shipped here, and then we help pay to ship it to Haiti. So we ask folks that can to donate. And then it gives an opportunity. It's a way that people can come and actually hands-on do something that changes them and changes the lives of not only people locally, but we particularly ship our food to a place in Haiti. And then we go there yearly to help make sure that the food is distributed. We make sure we know where it's going and who it's going to. So it's a blessing and a privilege to be able to do that.
I bet. And you're right. This is one way that you can hands-on be directly involved in making your community and other parts of the world a better place to be and help the hungry children. That's a tough one for me to talk about without getting a little emotional, the thought of a hungry child. But to volunteer, they simply can go to your website, which is www.kahverdevalley.org, and it's K for kids, A against, and H hunger. So kahverdevalley.org, so you can get involved in this amazing organization. And I would love to come to a packing party. My daughter is 7. Is she old enough to be able to work
we
with us?
actually, kids, our age is usually about 8, but we have things for younger kids to do, like they can color the boxes. It's a great family opportunity.
She would love
the boxes that it goes into. We're talking about starting a program for school kids, like a field trip opportunity to come in and teach them about hunger. And so we're looking at that. Really anybody from 8 to 90 can pack, or 100, you know. It's so we could find something for, and we always need volunteers. We don't have any packing events planned right at this time. We've kind of taken a couple steps back, and we're kind of finishing our building and get ready to transition to more of a local distribution. But we'll be up and ready for, we'll have it out on our website, and people can donate online. Or so
that's great.
It's a great local opportunity. It's a unique opportunity.
Absolutely. And you just held a big event in Prescott in January, so it's not like you've slowed down.
It was the Rotary Kids.
I know, and you packed almost 30,000 meals during that one.
It's like amazing, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to do, and it's an opportunity to do something bigger than ourselves,
and
which
meet people.
We all need to do.
Yeah.
We all need to do.
Band together as a community and make a difference.
Exactly.
Which is great.
Exactly.
And I have the largest amount packed ever in a packing party was 100,000 meals.
Yeah, that was at a church down in Phoenix. That was a pretty amazing opportunity, and we actually were able to do that. And so, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Wow. It's pretty amazing.
That truly is. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us. Karen Freeman, Director of Kids Against Hunger, very important organization around here. So get involved. Go to www.kah@verdevalley.org. So kahverdevalley.org. Get involved. Thank you so much for being here.
You bet.
I really
My pleasure.
appreciate it.
All right.
And we'll be right back after this short break.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come. sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
Welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. I'm here with Barbie Hart, who is the festival coordinator for the Verde Festival, the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Festival. And I have Susie Beach as well. She's the president of the Verde Valley Nature Organization. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me today.
Nice to be here.
I'm so glad we get to talk about birds. One of my favorite things. Oh, really? I love birds. My husband thinks I'm such a dork. But I do. I love birds, and the wonderful birds that we have here in the Verde Valley are truly amazing, and we're so lucky to have that. And you are a really big part of that, being part of the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Fest. You really celebrate the species that we have in this area, and that's coming up on the April 24th through the 27th over at the Dead Horse Ranch, correct?
Dead Horse Ranch State Park.
That's awesome. And you have a wonderful website, www.birdiverde.org. On the website, you can discover lots more about the organization. You can see the Verde River Birding Trail, which is very, very good. There's a map. You can read the all-time species sighting list, which is very exciting for the really big birders out there. Learn more about the Verde Valley and get the schedule of workshops and events, and also, very importantly, register to volunteer. And you guys have a very interesting mission. Why are you here?
Well, we want to provide a recreational experience that will help to foster stewardship. And it started when I was ranger for Arizona State Parks, and we were looking for a special event, and went to the manager of the state park and said, we should have a birding festival. I said, our riparian habitat here is just ideal. And so with them and the Chamber of Commerce and the Audubon Society, we all got together and started our very first one in 2001, and we've been doing it every year since. So this will be our 14th year.
That's amazing. And in 2013, you recorded 198 species cited.
That's just in those 4 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we go not only to the Verde Valley, but we go up to the Flagstaff area. We go up to the Grand Canyon, see the condors. Cool. But yes, that's pretty normal. That's about what we see every year.
Really? Wow, that is amazing. And you guys are, as far as the Verde Valley Birding and Nature Festival is regarding, you're always seeking donations in order to help the continuation of this annual fest, because is it run solely on donations by volunteers?
Well, we do charge for our trips and things, and that helps cover the cost, but mostly donations, sponsorships. We are a nonprofit, and that's very, very true. We have very little profit. We try to keep the cost low because we want to get people interested in this hobby. It's the #2 hobby in the United States.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. That is amazing. And you guys have a really neat event coming up, The Big Year, the movie that came out just recently. You're going to be doing a free showing of that.
Yes, we got the rights to do that. And the reason we're doing that is because our keynote speaker this year is the man who wrote a book about his experience doing his big year. And for those who are non-birders and don't know what that is during a calendar year, you see as many species as you can. And he's in that 700 and above area. So that's how many birds that he would see. And like I said, they made this really funny, cute movie about his experience. We're going to be showing it just prior to his keynote reception. And like I said, we got the rights to do that. That's at 4:45 at the Cottonwood Recreation Center. And you just come in and sit down and watch the movie, and hopefully you'll then stay for the reception. It is $20 for the keynote reception.
But it includes dessert.
Yes,
which is great.
Lots of food. Good dessert.
Food is always good. And are you showing that every night, the 24th through the 27th?
No, just the Friday night. Just
that Friday night.
Prior to keynote.
Yeah.
That's excellent. That's going to be an amazing thing. The movie itself is really great. If you haven't seen it, you have to check out The Big Year. It's really, really well done. And to meet the fellow who wrote the book that the movie is based on.
He didn't write the book, but the book was about him.
The book was about him.
And his character in the movie, if you've seen it before, is Jack Black.
Yes.
And so his name is Greg Miller, and I understand he's just a charming man. So we're really looking forward to meeting him and hearing about his experiences.
That's just amazing. And what other events do you have coming up? What comes after that?
Well, during the event, too, and every year we have a theme, and we have, this year it was the art of birding. And if you would define birding as the art of observing birds in the wild, it fits very well.
Yeah.
But there's also the actual fine art, where you can the drawings that and how much of our think about jewelry and art and everything that you see birds and nature in, how it influences, and we're celebrating that as well too. So we have a kids contest. We do that every year, and this year they're going to come and they're going to actually do some bird walks and do some actual hands-on artwork. And our artwork this year was done by the Wendy Harford, and she's the one who also started that The River Runs Through Us.
Oh, wow.
And so she's very active in making sure the stewardship of the Verde River is embraced.
Sure. It is beautiful artwork. The red-winged blackbird is one of my favorites.
Yes.
And they're just amazing to paint and draw. So that's wonderful, combining art and birding at the same time, because truly birds are one of the most beautiful creatures we have on the planet. And we are fortunate to have such colorful birds. And it's wonderful that you've gotten the kids involved. I have a young daughter, so I always really love to see programs that also help to introduce the children into things like birding and to tie in art and make that a wonderful program as part of your event. And it's a good event. It's April 24th through the 27th. That gives you plenty of amount of times. And during that, there will be talks and presentations, and then you'll do workshops.
Field trips is what we're most known for. Our registration did start on February 1st, and a lot of the trips are filled up, but there's still a lot available. And so we really want to encourage people to get online, go to the website, register online, and sign up while there still is some room left, and get on some of those field trips. Our main purpose is to have really highly trained, experienced birders, because you can go and bird these areas yourself, but going with somebody who really can help you and really help point out those birds, it really helps develop that skill.
Right. So it would be like taking a class in birding in order to increase your appreciation and your skill as far as sighting.
And if you've never gone birding before, we have a beginning birding class during our workshop during the event. And also, I guess this is a good time to mention it. 2 years ago, like I said, we broke away from the chamber and created our own corporation, and we called it the Verde River Valley Nature Organization, of which Susie is the president. And not only is that entity doing the birding festival, but they are also doing other things. We have a new event called the River Fest, which actually takes over a month, an event happening every weekend, and you can go to the Vervno website and learn more about that.
Wow, that's amazing. And what is the Vervno website?
It's Vervno, VRVNO.org.
Well, that's great. And don't forget the www.verde.org for all sorts of wonderful information, be able to register to volunteer. They can sign up for the workshops and the field trips through that website. Well, thank you so much, Barbie. I appreciate you being here. Susie, thank you so much for coming and sitting in with me today. And we'll be right back with more of the Verde Valley Experience.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/therightseat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
Welcome back to the Verde Valley Experience. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am here now with Sheila Stubler, who is the park manager for Fort Verde Historic Park, and she brought her supervisor today. Just to keep her in line, we also have Kelly Moffett, who's a Region 2 manager for the Verde Valley and the area state parks. And it's pretty amazing the amount of distance you do cover as far as all the wonderful parks here. We have Dead Horse Ranch, Slide Rock, Tonto Natural Bridge, that's a tough one to say, the Red Rock Park, and Jerome State Historic Park. I mean, we have so much history around here in the Verde Valley. We are so fortunate, and thank you so much for being here today. The fort is amazing. If you haven't been there, it's in Camp Verde. It's on Holloman Street. And the mission of the Fort Verde is to give visitors a chance to learn about frontier life through the eyes of the soldier and his family. In the 1880s period, things were a little different back then.
Yes, they were.
So what else can you tell me about the park and exactly what you do there?
Well, Fort Verde is actually the only fort in the state of Arizona that has 4 original adobe buildings that you can actually walk through. And so part of our mission is protecting and preserving the historic treasure that has formed this great state of Arizona. So when customers come, they get a chance to tour through those buildings and to see the 3 homes along Officers Row, all furnished, just like they were back in the day, with a few of our new mannequins that have joined us and are in some of the rooms. And then the museum building is actually where we have most of our artifacts and guns and weapons. And then there's also a very inspirational video where they interviewed some of the descendants of the Apache Scouts. So if you like history, even a smidgen, you'll love Fort Verde. So
it's very, very well done. It's very engaging. The children even love it. So of any age, it's really fascinating. I love to see the furnishings and the costumes and the bathtubs. If you haven't been there, you have to see the bathtubs. It's truly fascinating. Incredibly well done. Thank you guys for the amount of hard work that you do. And I know a lot of the work put into the park comes from volunteers.
Absolutely. The past few years where we've been struggling to keep the fort open, our volunteers in our community have contributed immensely through helping out with specialty maintenance projects, helping to run the front desk, helping to dress in period clothing. They literally, along with the town of Camp Verde, have really helped to keep Fort Verde alive. And so we're grateful for our partnerships. And literally every reenactment that we have, they're all volunteers. They don't get paid except for maybe a Dutch oven meal or two.
They will work for food.
They're all volunteer, but that's it. And it's definitely good food. Our company cook is a great cook.
Oh,
so,
that's wonderful. And speaking of cooking, you have a pie baking contest coming up as just one of the festivities that happens at the fort.
Yes, part of the Spring Heritage Festival in our partnership with the town of Camp Verde, March 29th and 30th. They'll have, it's a pecan and wine festival, so they'll have all kinds of activities for the entire family, including pecan catapulting for the kids and pecan shelling contest. And then if you have your favorite recipe that you'd like to enter and try to win a little prize money, we have to enter the pie too, not just the recipe.
Submit the recipe.
And it needs to be a homemade pie. You can't go buy your own pie and camouflage it. No, you can't. So, but you get a chance to earn some prize money and just to be part of the local fun.
And you guys get to eat a lot of pie, which is awesome.
Well, I assign it to other people, just to be fair.
That would be dangerous. Yes.
So we'll have 5 lucky judges that will get to judge the pie contest.
And that's part of your Spring Heritage Festival that's coming up the end of the March here, the 29th through the 30th, that's happening at the park.
Yes,
and one thing that's happening on the 30th, a very important thing that you're doing, which is called the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Event. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, actually the event was started a couple years back. The first town to do it was Sedona, and then Cottonwood did it last year, paying tribute to our Vietnam veterans that have served our country. And so this year, Camp Verde is hosting it, and the Legion riders and other riders will start from the Sedona Posse grounds and make their way down to Cottonwood and then to Old Town Clarkdale, coming back up through Cottonwood and on their way to Camp Verde. And then from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. we'll have the opening ceremony, flag raising, and ever since we've started doing this, having our meetings, getting together to plan this event, I tell you, the stories that I hear from Vietnam veterans that come through the park is so emotional and heartwarming, heartbreaking, I should say, with everything that happened. And so we're hoping to have a good turnout, and we welcome all veterans to come to that so that we can pay them the honor and the tribute that they deserve.
Yeah, definitely. And if there are any service folks watching, thank you very much for your service. We very much appreciate you. And you do an amazing amount of festivities. I have a huge list of just what's happening in March. On March 15th, there's the Primitive and Ancient Technology with Bob Erb. That sounds really fascinating. And on the 3rd and the 22nd, you're doing Adobe brick building.
Yes, the 8th and the 22nd.
That sounds truly amazing. Hands-on.
Yeah, that's it. So if you want to come get muddy and that's right. Yeah,
that sounds great. And then again, the Spring Heritage Festival, a really wonderful festival that happens in Camp Verde on March 29th through the 30th with the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event on the end there. If you want to be part of this amazing fort, there are plenty of volunteer opportunities, as we said. If you go to www.azstateparks.com, not only will you see all kinds of information and history about Fort Verde, many great photos and articles, info on all the special events that are coming up. And this was just March. I mean, every month there's lots of things. But you'll be able to see what they need as far as volunteers, how you can go ahead and get involved in this amazing place. Sheila, you guys do such a great job there. And Kelly, we're so pleased to have you back. I heard you were away, and now you're back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for returning to the Verde Valley.
Actually, I was already in the Verde Valley. I just left my employment with State Parks about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And just got back into I just came back to the same job. So it's great to be back.
You just couldn't get it out of your system.
Well, I've been in outdoor recreation for over 30 years. And it was a great 10 years, my first time with the agency. And of course, I didn't burn any bridges. Was involved in similar work, partnering with government agencies all around the country. But when I heard the opportunity was there to go back into this role, I jumped on it. Was happy to come back.
Oh, that's wonderful. What's a workday like for you?
Well, we're divided into regions in the state. The state park system is, and these 5 Verde Valley area parks, as well as 4 other park sites, are making up Region 2, we call it, or the northern and northeast part of the state. And so. My job is as a typical middle manager. You know, you're trying to help the parks all get what they need to get their jobs done, and securing resources for them, and also trying to take the vision from our director Brian Martin and convey that so that the parks are all fulfilling our mission consistently from one park to another.
Wow!
So I try to be a help to the parks. I'm not here to give them a bad time. I'm here to help.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your help. It's a wonderful thing. We are truly blessed. All the parks we have here in the Verde Valley. Well, again, if you want to check out Fort Verde Historic Park website, that's www.azstateparks.com. I'm sure there's links to all the other parks as well on that website. So that's really awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for the job that you do, all the work that you put in. It really is appreciated how you keep the history going and keep everything preserved. So I appreciate you, and I know lots of other people do. So
thank you very much for having us.
And we'll be right back with more Verde Valley Experience. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Know what? Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
We have a special treat for you today. Today, we're here with Don in his museum of sorts. Don has been collecting beautiful antique engines and Petrofina and signs and all sorts of goodies, and we are so lucky to be here today. Thank you, Don, for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Oh,
you have
nice.
quite a collection.
All from the help of some antique stores.
Oh, well, yes, that would be where you would see this stuff normally. You have a larger collection than most stores I've ever seen. You have, what did you say, about 70, 80 different types of engines?
Approximately between 70 and 80, engines, gas engines.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you can take an engine that isn't working and get it up to beautiful working condition.
If you give me enough time, I can, yes.
Well, yeah, there's
sometimes my time is a little bit limited. I think, you know, if I lived to be 300 years old, I probably wouldn't get through all of these.
No?
So,
Oh,
but I'm not going to live that long.
It's
So
that extensive of a collection.
Yeah, anyway.
And you're a member of the Arizona Flywheelers Club.
I'm a member of a lot of different clubs, but the two local ones that I kind of participate in is the Arizona Verde Valley Flywheelers and the Flagstaff Early Day Gas Engine and Tractor Association. So those are the two local ones.
Right. And there's quite a few members of those clubs. I believe the Flywheelers, last time I checked, had over 200 members, something like that?
Probably pretty close.
Yeah.
The one, like I say, I'm a member of a lot of different ones and charter member of a bunch of them.
Yeah.
From Tucson to Colorado to you name it. So. But probably about 6 different clubs that I belong to. So, yeah.
And you've been playing with engines since your teens.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah. And tell me, you're truly a fascinating man. You worked in aircraft maintenance?
I worked in the field of aircraft for about 40-something years. I was included in the military and a bunch of different name companies. I won't mention their names, don't have to, but anyway. And then I retired in 2006. So
that's amazing. Now you're full time into your hobby.
Your
passion. You should call it more than a hobby.
Pretty much entertaining, and I spend a lot of time running around to different shows and antique shops and stuff like that. Collect items that I don't need.
Oh.
It's items that I want.
It's all about the want, not the need. And speaking of shows, the Arizona Flywheeler Show is coming up March 14th and 15th.
That's correct.
Over the weekend. It runs from 9 in the morning till 4.
Right, that is correct. And the one in Flagstaff is going to be at the Olson's Feed Grain on Highway 89. And that's August 2nd and 3rd. Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful experience for anyone who maybe hasn't seen all these amazing gas-powered engines. There are steam-powered engines. Very early 1900s used to power all kinds of different farm equipment. They'll be all on display. There'll be tractor pulls. There's a swap meet. The kids can really get into action, little mini tractor races. It's quite an event.
Yep. If you have never seen some of these before, it's very interesting. And take the opportunity when it's there to go and see it.
Oh, absolutely. My favorite is the demonstrations when you actually start up the engines. The noise is quite impressive.
well, to some, yeah, some people have never seen them. That's you know, that's kind of a surprising thing when you go to shows and things and see people that look in awe. What is that? You know, but a lot of people have seen tractors. A lot of people have seen other things, but they've just never seen the engines as such that did the work. You know, so it's interesting. I love it.
That's true.
Working on aircraft all my life, and this is kind of like a. Somebody said, well, "How in the world did you get into that?" You know, don't ask me.
Oh, natural progression.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're no stranger around the workbench for sure.
But it's a strange hobby, but it's interesting. So, and I love it. So.
Now these engines have a couple of different names besides one I heard is a push-pull, and there's a hit and miss.
The engines basically there was two varieties. There was what they call the throttle control or governor that controlled the throttle, and there was the ones that were really the hit and miss was the governor controlled the exhaust valve on the engines, and those are the true hit and miss engines. But everybody calls them hit and miss engines, even when they're not. They were just in that time area. But you know, there's different methods of. Some are spark plug fired, some of them were igniter fired. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they started out as steam powered.
Most of the engines started out as steam, and they went to a lot of them started in the hot air, steam, a lot of different types. You know, so. And probably, you know, if you go to the shows, you'll probably see a few hot air engines along with the gas engines, some diesels, so a variety.
Yeah, that's great. I was surprised earlier we were speaking that the steam engines were far more dangerous than the gasoline-powered engines.
Probably wouldn't have been if people learn how to operate them, but a lot of the stuff wasn't OSHA approved. But anyway, but the steam boilers had a tendency to want to explode if it didn't have the proper amount of water and stuff.
I'm glad you know what you're doing. You're still here. You still have all your fingers. We really appreciate you.
If I knew what I was doing, I wouldn't be here, right?
Oh, no, I think you're doing great. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing collection with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you at the Flywheeler Show.
I'll be there, unless something else happens. So,
no. Well, thank you all. We'll be right back.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing you. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're going to need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change the past, but you can definitely change the future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can they transfer this guy to you? My Jetzel technique isn't really working. You need something a little more...
persuasive?
Yes.
You listen, and you listen good.
Hey, where's my sandwich? Terry? Terry!
Take it from me, the King DMC. It's a real cool thing to get your GED.
Get that diploma!
Now hold on and we'll find you free GED classes. Capiche?
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
He was 4, barely out the door, when a kid down the street called his name. He started to run, but he was undone, and the big kid caught up just the same. The new shirt his mom had made him was torn in the struggle that came. He shuffled back home, feeling sad and alone. Could he ever live down the shame? But Mama knew just how to mend it, and smiled when she was through. She said a galloping horse will never notice it. We fixed it as good as new. He was 19, out on a dream, chasing the world on a lark. Started as fun, but he was undone when a girl he just met broke his heart. But Mom said you'll just have to mend it, then call me back when you're through. She said a galloping horse will never notice it. You'll fix it as good as new. The world is so small, and Dad is so tall, to a girl when she's almost 4. She tossed it up high and started to cry when her favorite doll hit the floor. But Daddy knew just how to mend it, and smiled when he was through. He said a galloping horse will never notice it. We fixed it as good as new.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bill. I
thank you,
appreciate that. I'm here with Bill Bassett of Bill Bassett's Trailblazers. That was a beautiful song, which you wrote yourself, correct?
Well, some years ago, yes, I did.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
And I can tell you've been playing guitar for a little while.
That was that one other time I did.
Yeah. It shows. You're absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
That's great. And Bill, I've got that you are featured weekly on Sundays at the main stage in Cottonwood from 4 to 7.
That's pretty close. Yes, indeed. The main stage, a new venue, opened up less than a year ago, and we got the Sunday afternoon Country Sundays. Sunday, Country Sunday.
That's a good day to go country.
And line dancing and
fun.
And 2-stepping and 10-stepping and all of that. And we played the songs that the right beats and the right tempos and the right songs to do all that stuff. So come on out and boot scoot.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. Funny you should mention that.
Indeed.
And your mission is to revive and renew the interest in traditional country music here in the Verde Valley.
Well, we're trying to do that. I was a little startled that I mean, there are some country players around here and some places that offer country music from time to time, but it's not like it's a big thing. Everyone seems to like the blues and the oldies and whatnot. So there's an opening here. So we formed a group. Like I said, we play the more or less traditional songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and very little about your pickup truck and drinking beer at the beach and girls in halter tops and whatnot. Nothing wrong with that.
Right now.
But
there's a time and a place for everything.
Indeed. So, but you can hear songs that everyone's familiar with and just dance the afternoon away.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and you work pretty much every day because you also sing over at the Blazing M Ranch.
That's the best
every
best
night.
Gig in the whole Verde Valley, right?
I bet that is so much fun.
It is a kick. We do the cowboy chuck wagon and the cowboy music show at the Blazing M Ranch, and it's all Sons of the Pioneers and yodeling and corny comedy and
just a good old time.
It's great food too. I mean the barbecue and the prickly pear coleslaw. Cannot
go
beat
wrong. Great music, great food. That's really fun.
Indeed,
and I think it's wonderful that you call yourself the de facto leader of the Blazing M Cowboys.
Right. I mean, it's that's the other way to say it. First among equals. Jim Martin and Jeannie Martin joined us there about 3 years ago, and they're so talented and great entertainers. award-winning yodelers, and they just add so much to the show.
Yeah,
and
that is amazing.
You know, the Blazing M's been open darn near 20 years now, and the quality has just kept getting better and better each year. Of course, we get a lot of visitors from out of town, but then again, we have a lot of local people who live just nearby who bring their relatives out, and when uncle and aunt and the nephews and nieces come out, they all come into the Blazing M.
Oh yeah.
So we try to keep things freshened up for a lot of the locals, and we keep the same basic format and just keep adding fresh material.
Right.
As we go,
Wow.
so.
Keep adding fresh material. That's really good to know. You are quite a songwriter. I really enjoyed the lyrics to your first song.
That's
kind of you guys are doing such a great job to keep a nice central country base here that that we need. We need that.
I think so. We've got our fan base following now, so of course the more the merrier. So by all means, come on out and enjoy the country.
That's really great. And like you on Facebook, a wonderful Facebook page, Bill Bassett's Trailblazers.
Right there on Facebook. Hit like, and you'll get all the updates and silly stuff I post.
Yep, all the great pictures. And a lot of your friends are great musicians as well. You guys all tend to run in the same pack.
This is an amazing area. There are so many talented people, and many of them have come here from, outside big cities, and they wind up staying here and developing musical, bands and musical partnerships with other people.
Yeah.
And it's just terrific. It's very vibrant.
It is. We are very fortunate here in the Verde Valley to have so many talented musicians around, and to have so many great venues for you guys to be able to play.
And very supportive of one another, too.
Yes, that is. I noticed that amongst musicians,
there was
you guys.
a big fundraiser here just a little over a week ago there's always benefits. They're always doing fundraisers or charitable events of one sort form or another. So
good camaraderie.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate you coming to the Verde Valley Experience. Everyone stay tuned. We're going to have Bill play us another song, and we'll see you next show.
Well, thank you so much. Well, come on, howdy, get your apple pan dowdy, gotta saddle up and get out of town. Gotta ride on the double, cause it looks like trouble, and we better not be nowhere around. A long 3-day ride across the Rio Grande. We got sore saddles, a belly full of trail dust, and pockets full of burning sand. Stumbled into an old saloon and bellied up to the bar, and I said, 3 fingers a ride of whiskey and tell us where the devil we are. Well, about that time, some dance hall honey told me and Howdy to grab our money and took us both up to a room at the top of the stairs. And the door blew open, and what I saw was a 7-man table full of 5-card draw, a bottle of whiskey, and a couple of empty chairs. Well, I knew right then that we should have moved on and headed for the edge of town. But me and Howdy, we were feeling kind of rowdy, so we laid our money down. Well, Howdy, he was betting them high, and when it was over, we won. But they all looked funny when we reached for our money and somebody reached for a gun. Well, I hit that floor just as hard as I was able. Howdy put a bullet right through that table, and out the back door, down to the street we run. Hey, come on, Howdy, eat your apple pan dowdy, gotta saddle up and get out of town. Gotta ride on the double, cause it looks like trouble, and we better not be nowhere around. Come on, Howdy, eat your apple pan dowdy, gotta saddle up and get out of town. Gotta ride on the double, cause it looks like trouble, and we better not be nowhere around. No, we better not be nowhere around. No, we better not be nowhere around. There you go.
That's awesome. I love that.